Good morning, everyone. Guests, members of the press. My name is Jerry Kujabi. I am president of the Madison Kanifing Sister City. To my right is Mayor of Madison. To her right is Mayor of Kanifing, my sister city in Gambia. To my left over here is Alder Samba Balde from the Madison City Council, also representing District 17, the far east of town. To his left is Greg Mickles, director of the Madison Public Library. We welcome you today to talk about a project that we have in Gambia, which is a library project. So you would hear speakers in the order that you have the seats in. The purpose of the press conference today is to highlight, of course, the sister city relationship that we have between the city of Madison and Gambia, but also to talk about the library project. Like I said, my name is Jera. I am the president. The sister city relationship came about election of Samba Balde to council in 2015. Shortly after he was elected, the mayor at the time appointed him to the Sister City Collaboration Committee. At the time, the city of Madison had seven sister city relationships, but none in Africa. He reached out to Samba through their conversations. An idea came about to set up one in Africa, and the sister city in Madison was established. Some of the work, in addition to what we'll be talking about today, that the sister city has engaged in is we have presence in Madison school districts. We celebrate Africa Day across schools here in Madison. We set up pen pal relationships between kids here and their counterparts back home. We also have private partnerships where we work with other businesses here in Madison and other organizations. One that comes to mind is the Wisconsin Medical Project. Last year we worked with them to send a container of medical supplies to the Gambia. Other collaborative efforts that we have with other organizations is with the 100 Black Men that most of you are aware of. With the initiatives that they have for outreach into schools, we work with them in that area. The library project, in essence, was born out of the mayor's visit to Madison last year. When he came, Samba and city officials were cordial enough to get them to visit different city agencies. And one of the places that we visited was the Madison Public Library, and Greg was kind enough to take us around on a tour. That kind of like inspired the mayor when he went back. Because the city does not have a library. The entire country is population 2.2 million people. We only have one library. When he returned after his visit, that kind of like gave him an idea, and this project was born out of that. We have a work group that was meeting for about 10 months to explore that possibility of working on a project that would establish a library in the Gambia. And today we're here to roll out that effort as a means to reach out to the community to raise awareness about this project. Thank you very much. I'll introduce the Alder, and he'll give remarks, and you will hear from the other speakers.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Jerry, thank you for that overview of what this project is about. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to our mayor. Last night, she was at Finance Committee meeting until 1 a.m. After 1 a.m. was when they wrapped up. So we appreciate you taking the time to be here. We really see the commitment from your end, and so this is really good. Thank you. Like Jerry said, when I was elected in 2015, the Madison Sister City program had existed for over 30 years. But at this time still, there was no sister city in Africa, so we saw the need to really have one. But we are gathered here today mainly to talk about a project that came about 10 months or so ago. This came about out of the mayor's visit to Madison last year, and then visiting the Central Library to see how things are done here and how they are structured. When he went back to the Gambia, he brought his elected officials together and some of his stakeholders and said, look, if you want to move this country forward, if you want to move this municipality forward, if you want to accomplish anything, we must have to educate our kids. And one way to educate them is to give them access to education. and library cannot be better space for education. And so this is how the library thing came about. He communicated back to us that this is something he would like to move forward, and then he set up a committee. So we reached out to Greg and many others who are part of the work group to say, look, if we are committed to changing the world, if we are committed to really doing something in this partnership, let's find a way to move the library forward. And this is how it came about. The Sister City Connection is an excellent tool for diversity and inclusion in certain way in this city. We are all ambassadors of the countries that, our native countries, but at the same time, ambassador of this city. So when I visited Gambia last year, everybody was curious about this city. What is here? How can we work together? How can we take this collaboration to the next level? And so when the mayor met our mayor yesterday, he asked her to go visit. So that way, at least that curiosity of what the city looks like, what are we doing here, cannot be better explained by anybody else but our own mayor. So hopefully that will also come soon. The idea is that, as you may hear from other speakers, the library is phased into 3 phases. We are hoping soon we should be able to implement the phase. When that is being implemented, hopefully we can travel some of our collaborators, including the mayor, to Gambia. This world is a very small world, and so I am really looking forward to taking this collaboration to the next level. I have had other Gambians and Africans, as a matter of reality, reach out to me and say, Sambo, this program you have in the city of Madison is excellent. How can we have that in our own cities? How can we relate to other cities in Africa and stuff like that? Came back from Nigeria. The United States Embassy called me back after I came because the mayor of Abuja went there. He is so interested in having a sister city with your city. To an extent, the embassy has to call me and find ways to work because they work together and all that. So this is excellent, this is good. Let us all find a way to play a role. I know getting money is difficult. There are so many asks all over the place. But I think with commitment and the mayor and everybody being on board on this project, we should be able to move this forward. So that being said, I would like to introduce our own mayor from Kanifing, Lord Mayor. So they call our mayors Lord. This is a British system, and so I'll say a little bit of story about that. Hopefully the media can say something about it. But when we were working on the sister city, they sent me documents from Gambia. That was the first time, even though I was born and raised in Gambia, I never saw the word Lord before anything except for Georges and things like that. So when I get this document, they were all like Lord Mayor, Lord Mayor, Lord Mayor. So I thought it was a mistake. Maybe they're just copying and pasting someplace. So I deleted all the Lord and sent it to the city. Just to realize that actually that's how their titles are like. So Lord Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda, welcome to the city of Madison, and thank you for being here. So hopefully you can give us a little insight of. So generally, for the sake of those who have not met the mayor and have not heard him say anything. He's from a middle-class family, and he was educated in Canada. He had a business, a multi-million-dollar business. The guy could have chosen to do anything else but politics. He could have done everything else in the world but politics. But he decided to inject himself into the politics, very, very dangerous politics. African politics is dangerous. But he decided, whatever I have, I think the people are most important than whatever I can have on my own. So he decided to run for mayor. Not only did he decide to run, young people like me and others, we are in the West having good life and all that kind of stuff. He is also the youngest mayor in the western part of Africa. So you can see how he is committed to not only leading the municipality, but bringing about change in not only Gambia, but Africa as a matter of reality. So Mayor, thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Samba, for that introduction. But actually, it's His Worship, the Lord Mayor. That's the full title, but I'll accept Mayor. I'll go with Mayor. Thank you, press and guests, for coming. Mayor Conway, thank you for your hospitality and all you've been doing for us. Samba, thank you as well. Greg and Jerry for welcoming us and pretty much accommodating us and being patient with us. As Samba said, my name is Talib Ahmed Bensouda. I am the mayor of Kanifing municipality in the Gambia, which is the biggest municipality and most densely populated municipality with 500,000 people. That's about 25% of the Gambian population. So Gambia is the smallest country on mainland Africa and is the most western country of Africa, surrounded by Senegal on all three sides and the Atlantic Ocean on the western side. So having said all this, Gambia is a very poor country. It is a country with a very small GDP, and we mostly depend on agriculture and tourism. A very beautiful country as well. That's why I would love for the mayor to come and enjoy our beaches. We are also a very young country. Gambia's population is 60% youth, which is 18 years or 16 years to 35 years. So we have a huge student population within my municipality of about 150,000 students. And as the speaker said before me, we only have one library in the whole country and none in my municipality. So you can imagine how that is so not good for our students and young people. So when I came to Madison last year, I was privileged to come to your library and see all that you're doing under the leadership of Greg. And I was excited about the possibilities of what this could mean for our people in the Gambia, especially the Kanifing municipality. So I went back to the drawing board, and we started working on what a library would mean and what concept it would take. And we took a lot from what Greg said and what Greg is doing here to pretty much come up with a concept that is tailored to the different interests of youth within our municipality, and not just books. The only part I disagree with is weddings, because African weddings are a bit too colorful for a library. So it's very exciting for us. So we right away went and secured land in a very good area where it has a high population of students and a lot of schools in a cluster, including the university. So we took that commitment and bought a piece of land in that area with the hope that soon enough something will be done about it. And we also set up a committee that is supposed to work with the counterpart in Madison. The committee is made up of educators, it's made up of interested people from the community and staff and councillors of our council. And they have a good relationship from across the Atlantic Ocean with the same committee in Madison. So the library, we're planning in 3 stages. The initial stage, of course, is to do something immediately because we feel we have an emergency on our hands. We want students to immediately have a safe space where they could learn. So we want to create sort of an outdoor learning center where it's sort of like a shed with solar lights and lighting where students can go and at least have the access to study. So right now, how students learn, especially in the wee hours of the night, is using public facilities, such as markets, street lights, or maybe a bank has a well-lit light and students would sit under it. And as you can imagine, that is a very unsafe way and a very exposed way to learn. Also, the way in which we live, given it's a poor country, families live together, and in the home, things get a little bit too noisy, and it's very difficult to concentrate. So this library is long overdue. It's been decades. Myself, I never had access to a library, but like Samba said, I come from a middle-class background, where at least the school I went to was a private school, and there was a library within the school. But outside that, there was no access to any sort of public facility. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to do now is to pretty much start the fundraising. The concept has been worked out, the planning is well underway, and now we just want to make sure that the funds do come through, because without the what do you call it, bread? Without money, without the money, nothing much can be accomplished. But I want to emphasize on what Madison means to Gambia, or Kanifing. Since I came into office, we had limited resources, but unlimited willpower. So we are a very young council. The youngest is 23. I am 32, and the average age is somewhere around 35. So we have a lot of will, a lot of political will, a lot of ambition to get things done, things that our people never thought imaginable. So when I came into Madison, I came to look for ideas, I came to look for inspiration, I came to look for support, and I had all three. Last year when I was here, same time, in our municipality, there was no waste collection. We depended on donkey carts, a guy and a cart and a donkey. And we came into Madison, we went to your streets division, we met Charles, we met some of your staff. They were so wonderful, so accommodating, gave us statistics and know-how. And we went back and we were able to get a fleet of 19 compactor trucks. And now our residences have waste collection. And because of that idea, because of the 5 minutes Charles gave us, malaria cases have gone down in our municipality, infections have gone down, and people generally feel healthier. So I can't emphasize how grateful we are to the city of Madison and its people and leadership. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so without more ado, I will introduce our mayor. Like I said, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and that is from the bottom of our hearts. We really talk about it. I saw you and I see how really you are dealing with some flu-like thing and dealing with all the council things, so it's a challenge. Our mayor was elected this past April. With an overwhelming majority. And I think the reason why she won so victoriously is because of her personality, her love for people, and her understanding that if you have to be successful in this world and be able to change people's lives, you must be able to listen to them and identify with them. That is the kind of mayor we have. I had tons of meetings before the elections with her and after the election, and I know how passionate she is about this city, but more so she's also an international mayor. She's been to so many cities, and she knows what it means to live in a diverse community. She knows what it means to relate with other communities outside of the United States, and Madison in this case. So thank you, Mayor, for supporting us, and welcome to the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder. And it is absolutely my pleasure to welcome the Lord Mayor and the Councilwoman to join us. I really appreciate you making the effort to visit and to be a part of this project and to be our sister city. I know that you've spoken about the ways in which your city has benefited, but our city benefits as well from this exchange, and I appreciate it. But we're here to talk about a library. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story. When I was 5 or 6 years old, my dad moved to a new city, and one of the first things we did was go find the library. And I vividly remember, this was the summer, I was spending the summer with my dad, and I had a piece of paper where you wrote down all the books that you read that summer, and it was a reading challenge for young people. And I read so many books that summer that I needed 2 pieces of paper to fill out. I remember when I was 12, probably, and I lived in Jerusalem for 4 or 5 months, and the place that I sought out was the English language library, because it was a piece of home for me. It was a place that I could get things to read and to entertain myself in a wonderful but different city. I remember in college, very many late nights studying at the library, in using the resources in the library. I did a wonderful project on one of our poets, Sylvia Plath, and the college I went to has her archive, and so I was able to research her life and look at her original drafts and write papers on that, and that was all because of that library. I remember in graduate school going into our science library and just journal after journal after journal that I needed to read for my research, and making endless copies and notes, and all of that was possible. In fact, my entire education was possible because of libraries. You heard there is only one library in the entire Gambia. But I know that there is a young woman somewhere in Kanifing who aspires to study science. I know there is a young man who wants to be the next Lord Mayor. I know that there are young people all across your city who, if they had the opportunity, they would be staying up late in your library. They would be checking out books. They would be looking at scientific journals. They would be bringing their younger siblings to learn to read just for fun, which is one of the most beautiful things about a library. And that's why this project is so important. Kanifing needs its own library. And we in Madison have the opportunity to help make that happen. It's an honor to be the inspiration for this project for our city, but it is also an honor to be part of making it possible. And I'm very happy that our staff have dedicated time and effort to plan this and to think about it and how you can have not just any old library, but how you can leapfrog into the libraries of the future and make sure that you have the best of libraries and a library that is most suited for your city and your needs. And so I'm very excited to support this library project, and I hope that everyone in Madison will join me in helping to make this dream a reality so that young people all across Kanifing can have the same resources and the same access to knowledge that we have here in Madison. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we will now, as you all heard, the library was to a certain extent inspired by Greg Michael, who's the head of the library system in the city. Great guy. Greg really, as soon as we met with him, he was very inspired by really working with us to really make something happen in the Gambia for our people. So we all know Greg, who Greg is. I don't need to dwell much about his work. So Greg, welcome to the podium. Thank you.
Just as it's a privilege to serve Madison as its Director of Public Libraries, I was really honored to be asked to provide expertise to this library project. And it began with the introduction with Lord Mayor Bensouda and in sharing how libraries really work. And we talked about it's not just about books and computers and how important that is, but how libraries have become a platform for our residents, become a stage for our communities. And in particular, how important it is to the youth in our cities. Mayor Satya has been very focused on Madison Public Library's service to youth, and we greatly appreciate that support. As I talked to Lord Mayor Bensouda about that, I said, this can be the same thing we can achieve in Kanifing. In particular, I was truly inspired by the voice of a young woman that was on our planning committee named Awa. And Awa shared to me her experience growing up in the Gambia and the challenges, as the mayor spoke to, about having to study. And Awa and her students would look for places to study, public markets, as the mayor mentioned. And it was all about access to electric light. They didn't have that resource in their homes. So just as we do in Madison and look for inspiration from our community, I drew inspiration from Awa. And so what we'll be looking for when we design this library is to take that inspiration and allow us to hit home as a way that libraries can become the light for the youth of Kanifing. And not just in the literal sense, but for their future. So I'm proud to have the opportunity to contribute my expertise to this important project. I'm looking forward to the day when the public library becomes a reality for the people of Kanifing. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we call up Jerry to do the closing remarks and take a few questions. The mayor and his group also brought in a little gift for our Lord Mayor. I'll call it Lord Mayor just for today. Okay, how was it, Lord Mayor? So, Emily, if you don't mind, pick up the, you can hand over the gift, just like the way it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So at this point, we will take a few questions and then we'll wrap up the press conference. So if you have any questions for any of the speakers, please go ahead and ask. Anybody? Yes.
My question is for Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway. So you said that you happen to be a part of the process of making this possible. Does that mean that we're paying in part towards the library as well?
We're not supporting this project through the city budget, but we are donating staff time to it, and we will be encouraging the fundraising efforts both here and abroad. And there is a team, as you heard, both here in Madison and in Kanifing, that are working very hard on all of the aspects of this project, including the fundraising. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody? Off topic, Mayor Rhodes-Conway, I know you said you were at the Finance Committee real late last night. Can I just get your reaction to the decision?
I'd be happy to answer questions about the budget after we wrap up the press conference.
Mayor, I apologize. Yes, so.
Kali.
Lord Mayor. What? Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, so could you tell me a little bit about what the fundraising efforts look like?
Mayor.
Yeah. Right. So for now, we're entering the fundraising stage. Nothing has been started yet. And this press conference is one of the things we're doing to kickstart the fundraising. But I think Samba would speak to it in more detail because I understand the website has been put up with an opportunity for people to donate.
And how fast do you think that you'll start building this outdoor library? And then how fast will the phases begin for the bigger library, if I'm understanding that right?
Right. So we want to get the whole project done before 2021. As you know, politicians work with term limits, and we can't guarantee what the political will would be after I'm gone. But once we get it, or if I'll be gone, so we want to get it started within the next year, hopefully, and done before my first term in office is done. Yeah.
And Mayor Rhodes-Conway, would you be traveling there to reciprocate this visit?
I will happily await an invitation to visit Kanifing. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know if one of you wants to say a little bit more about the fundraising or where the website is and how people can get involved.
So again, I'm Jerry. As I look out in the audience, I see some of the members of the work group that have been working for the past 10 months, like I mentioned earlier. The website is set up. The official website is madisonkanifing.org. And on there is a donation page and a page that talks specifically about this project. So donations can be given through there, but also more broadly, we're going to reach out to other private institutions here, organizations. That's how we intend to roll it out. The press conference really today is just to raise awareness through everyone who is present here and of course, the media. But again, the website is madisonkanifing.org.
Thank you. One more question and we'll wrap up if there's any. Anybody? All right, Jared, come back to the stadium and wrap up.
Briefly, I just wanted to say, Mayor, thank you very much. I wanted to thank my colleagues on the work group for your effort. Really, it's totally voluntary, and we invite everyone out there who is now aware of this project to join us in this effort. Greg, I can't thank you enough. You've stuck with us since the mayor's visit last year. As you heard him mention, your advice, your time really had inspired not just him, but as he went back, a lot of folks. And we cannot exaggerate the impact that this would have on young people in my community, where I come from, if we're able to pull this project off. I would appeal to everyone, be ambassadors of this project, carry this message as you go back to your communities. We'll share, once we wrap this up, we'll share more information, and if folks are available to ask more questions, we'll stick around and answer them. But thank you very much for inviting us to the city, Mayor, for taking the time to be here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.